Hey guys, it's Satnap here, and welcome to another video. Last time, we successfully took down the Kanto Gym leaders and the Elite Four with Ash's original team. As of recording, it is currently a smoldering -2 degrees Celsius, so I wouldn't mind taking a nice trip to the tropics after our recent accomplishments. And when it comes to tropical climates, we need look no further than the Orange Archipelago, a large chain of islands known for its tropical weather and being home to alternate Pokemon variations due to its climate. Oh, and we could take on the Orange League while we're at it, I guess. If you're not familiar with the challenge, we'll be using the same team Ash used in the show with some pseudo Nuzlocke rules. The most important rule though in a Nuzlocke is that if your Pokemon faints in battle, it's considered dead. However, in the previous video, I changed it to where if a Pokemon faints in battle, we have to reset and attempt the battle all over again. Mainly because the majority of our team members were pre-evolutions, and on top of that, if I kept the typical Nuzlocke rules, a majority of the attempts would have just ended at Misty. I decided, well, since I'm still continuing the series, and since Ash's teams don't really get much better than this, I might as well keep things consistent and use the same rules throughout. Plus, you'll see soon enough that the game doesn't really pull its punches one bit, so even with these rules in place, the game will always find a way to make things more difficult without fail. Not only that, but for every gym battle we have to use the same Pokemon that Ash used in those battles. For example, in the challenge against Cece, Ash used Squirtle and Lapras, so we also have to use Squirtle and Lapras. Even though I may have forgotten that I could have used one of those, we'll get to that when we get to that. And with that out the way, let's just get started. Wait, but how are you playing the Orange Island? But before we can start, we have to celebrate, of course. After all, we are the official Pokemon champion of Kanto. Hey look, it's the Spearows from the start of our journey. Guess they haven't learned from the last time. All good. We'll just have to remind them real quick who's the champion and who's not, am I right? Wow, would you look at that? Finally, after all this time, Pidgeotto evolved, huh? Finally got ourselves a Pidgeot, huh? Hey, it's not a Dodrio, and it's certainly no Fearow, but, you know, we take those, Wait, what is he doing?
Stay here for a while and make sure the other Pokemon are safe, okay, Pidgeot?
No, Ash, just wait a second, we can talk about this.
We'll be back as soon as we get Professor Oak's Pokeball.
Hey, now let's think about this one real quick. You know, she kind of just evolved, like not even 10 seconds ago. I know it's like your thing to just let them go once they're kind of, you know, too strong and all, but please, Ash, I'm begging you, please, we don't got much to work with, like. Yeah, before we even set foot outside of Kanto, we already have to say goodbye to a team member. This time it's Pidgeot, as we leave her in Kanto so she can protect the Pidgeys and other Pokemon in the area from Fearow. Yeah, I'm not even surprised at this point, but, you know, whatever. Still gotta mention it though. And with that out the way, we head to Oak's lab to not only gather the remainder of our team, which for some reason doesn't include Kingler, Muck, or the 30 Tauros, but whatever. Oak tells us to go pick up a specific Pokeball, the GS Ball, from Professor Ivy so we can bring it back to him. After stocking up on supplies, we take a blimp over to Valencia Island and meet up with Professor Ivy. We take the GS Ball and plan our trip back to Kanto, but not before saying our farewells to Brock, who decided that helping with Professor Ivy's research is what's best for him. But we can't go to Kanto yet, as they are still doing maintenance work on the blimp we need to take back. We ask around a bit, and this guy right here, he might just be the GOAT. His blimp goes to Johto. However, it flies over Tangelo Island. He's willing to let us parachute out once we're over Tangelo Island, as long as we keep it a secret, of course. After falling out of a plane, we land on what we assume is Tangelo Island and... Wait, is that Misty? Huh, she apparently also jumped out of the plane with us. Hey, how did she get on the blimp without us really noticing her? We catch up to Misty after she ran off, and we run into a couple of teenagers bullying a young Lapras. And this is where we finally get our first Pokemon battle. 3 of them, in fact. They each only have 1 Pokemon, so it's really not much trouble for our team to deal with them. This is where we also meet Tracy. He describes himself as a Pokemon watcher who travels the world studying the characteristics and abilities of Pokemon. We check up on the Lapras when... Oh, look, it's Team Rocket. Okay, well, that settles it. After defeating Team Rocket again, I guess Lapras was at an awe by our impressive battling and decided that they wanted to join our team. Now that we have a Pokemon we can surf with, we can go challenge our first gym leader, Cece. Hey, where are we supposed to deliver the GS ball for Professor Oak? See, since this was more of a filler season while development of the Gen 2 games underwent, there were only 4 gym challenges. Oh, cool, you're just gonna do the thing where you ignore me again? Oh, yeah, okay, that's cool, yeah, whatever. Each gym had its own challenge, different from the typical Pokemon battles we've grown accustomed to. For example, the first gym had challenges like a water gun target test and a surfing race. However, when we ask her about this, she acts like we're the crazy ones for even bringing it up in the first place, and tells us the challenge is just a Pokemon battle. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter anyways, it's just the first gym, right? Surely we should be able to get through this fairly quickly, right? Hey, remember in the intro how I mentioned that I was thinking of a way to make this playthrough more difficult? Oh, I didn't? Yeah, I was. I mean, look at the current team we have. Sure, we still have 3 pre-evolutions, but I mean, come on. These 2 Pokemon right here, alone, single-handedly can get us through most of this game. And on top of that, our Pikachu has a Light Ball, turning it from an overall pretty mediocre Pokemon to a strong early mid-game Mon who can also have some impact in the late-game fights. We even get a better Pokemon later on. So I thought, man, this challenge might just be a little bit too easy. Might have to make this challenge a bit more difficult, to be honest. Oh man, I was so wrong.
Miss! 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 Miss!
Yep, that's right. I somehow missed almost 10 attacks in a row. Mind you, the Seadra only lowered my accuracy by 3 stages. Which, yeah, you know, that's still gonna affect it, and I'm expecting to miss a couple of my attacks, but 10? Like, it's one thing missing once, twice, even 4 or 5 times, but almost 10 misses in a row? See, I've gotten pretty used to these kinds of things happening since my luck has always been horrendously bad, to put it lightly, when it comes to these games, and especially when I try to do any challenge run. But this might be one of the most unluckiest occurrences that has ever happened to me in any playthrough of mine. After getting her to use her full heal, we take her Seadra down with Surf and she sends out her Blastoise. We start by confusing her Blastoise, however it breaks out in a single turn. I try confusing her Blastoise again, but we end up missing due to our accuracy being lowered from Seadra. I use Sing out of desperation, twice, and ended up landing it and putting her Blastoise to sleep. And after a few surfs, we're able to defeat her Blastoise and claim the Coral Eye badge. After defeating Cece and getting the Coral Eye badge, we pass through Mandarin Island on our way to the next gym challenge, when all of a sudden we get pressed by a Grimer and a Voltorb. Officer Jenny shows up and tells us that the Pokemon in the area have been acting strange lately, and we decided that it was a good idea that we investigate the matter, cause everyone knows that whether it's intergalactic aliens or monsters that can fit in your pocket, you can't trust the local police to handle situations like this. Meaning the only ones we can trust now are teenagers, of course. After some further investigation, we checked the abandoned power plant that is apparently the one place no one would ever think to check. Yeah, the place that has been abandoned for who knows how long has a giant antenna on the top of the building, which May I remind you, this is a power plant, not a radio tower. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to mention, there's also a rocket grunt guarding the entrance. You know, now that I think about it, I think Zordon actually might have been onto something. Sure enough, we go inside and find that it's a Team Rocket hideout. We run into Jesse, James, and Meowth and quickly deal with them as we make our way towards the source of the problem. We find out that Cassidy and Butch are behind the disturbance and have been using a Drowsy plus the antenna that we saw earlier to control the Pokemon. They both have some relatively strong Pokemon for this part of the game. For example, Butch has his Cloyster, and Cassidy has their signature Raticate. After a pretty close battle, we manage to beat Cassidy and Butch and put a stop to their plans. With that out the way, we arrive at Sunburst Island, where we meet up with Tracy, and he mentions a mysterious Pokemon that lives in the Crystal Caves. He challenges us to a battle because, fuck you, that's why. And after our battle with Tracy, we make our way to the Crystal Caves, where we meet Mateo, a local glassblower who was looking for inspiration in the cave. See, his grandfather was one of the best and most well-known glassblowers of Sunburst Island, so much so that people from all over the world would visit the island just to buy his sculptures. One of the key moments that got him to that point was one day he was in the Crystal Cave and saw a Crystal Onyx, which then inspired him to make his best piece. Mateo here wants to capture the Crystal Onyx so that he can also find the same inspiration as his grandfather. But he's stumped as he can't go any further as he doesn't have a Pokemon to surf over the lake with. No one tell him about the Lapras I have that can get us all across the lake. Just as all hope seems to be lost, a figure arises from the bottom of the lake. The Crystal Onyx appears, and rather than catching it, Mateo lets it go, as seeing it was apparently enough to give him all the inspiration he needed to make his next masterpiece. Oh hey look, it's Team Rocket again.
Team Rocket's blasting off again!
We end up on Pecan Island after taking way too long to figure out how to get past these little whirlpools here. And this is the island home to the Pokemon that turn pink due to the berries that naturally grow here. Also, I forgot to mention that the Pokemon on Valencia Island also have a different color scheme to them. Rather than pink, they're more like a brown yellowish color. That's about it, yeah. After a few altercations with some of the local Pokemon and running into Team Rocket again, albeit very briefly, we run into Gary of all people and he challenges us to a Pokemon battle. His team is fairly stacked, already having some of his members from when we last saw him at the Pokémon League like his Blastoise, his Nidoking, and Nidoqueen, while also having some new members like Golem and his signature Arcanine from the show. Although it is a bit weird seeing his Eevee this early on as he didn't make his debut until the very end of the Orange Island arc, but honestly I don't think it's really anything to really worry about, more so it's just something interesting to note. Besides, like I said before, his team is fairly stacked already, with the majority of his Pokemon already being at their final evolutions. Makes you wonder why a certain someone still has over half his team uninvolved, but I don't know, that's just some food for thought. One of the benefits we have in this fight though is that his team does have a glaring weakness, that being the majority of his Pokemon is weak to water and grass types. We start off with Squirtle, who's able to take both his Eevee and Golem down. After taking quite a bit of damage, we send out Lapras to deal with his Nidoking, Nidoqueen, and Arcanine. His final Pokemon though, Blastoise, gave us a little bit more trouble. However, we were able to use both Bulbasaur and Pikachu to take his Blastoise down and defeat our rival. After our battle with Gary, we run into Misty, who's just wrapping up a battle with a water trainer named Marina. After a little misunderstanding where Misty thought her Psyduck evolved into a Golduck, she challenges us to a battle. What's really cool about this hack that I wanted to mention is the attention to detail. It's really cool being able to see most of the events from the anime in this new light. I also really appreciate that most of the characters have relatively the same Pokemon they used in the show. Misty, well known for specializing in water Pokemon, is obviously very weak against grass and electric Pokemon. So this fight is decided fairly quickly with the help of Pikachu and Bulbasaur again. Our next stop is Kinno Island, where we board the Pokemon Showboat, a performance with a full cast of Pokemon. We meet Kay, who is one of the voice actors who sits backstage of the show, and her Raichu. She notes how her Raichu has no confidence in her as her trainer and hasn't been able to perform. She suggests that a Pokemon battle would help Raichu gain more confidence in her as a trainer and thus give her the confidence to also be able to perform again. So, after we beat the fuck out of her Raichu, it now has the confidence to not only be a part of the main cast again, but also has full trust in Kay now. And after making one more pit stop to help out Nurse Joy with healing some injured Pokemon, we finally make it to Naval Island where we can finally take on our next gym challenge. But wait, no. We can't just simply challenge the gym leader. What, are you stupid? Come on now. That would just be way too simple. What, you think we could just walk into a gym and just challenge the gym leader like it's just some Thursday afternoon? Nah, never. Never, no. We gotta first do just a small, tiny little thing first. It's just a little challenge, you know? It's like, all right, yeah, whatever, sure. What's the challenge then? It can't be that hard. I'm only, a 10-year-old that, has only been traveling for a little over a year now, so, what could it be? Come on now. So I just have to, climb up this, snowy mountain, while, also dealing with, both trainers and wild Pokemon. Yeah, sure, that sounds like light work, honestly. Anyways, after climbing the mountain, we can now challenge the gym leader, Danny. This one's actually a bit easier than the last one, since we actually get to use our whole team this time. In the show, Danny's challenge involved creating a toboggan sled and racing down the mountain that we just climbed. Ash utilized every single one of his Pokemon during this challenge, which means we get to do the same thing. However, that doesn't mean the battle just magically becomes a cakewalk either. Not only does his team consist of some pretty strong Pokemon, but he also nearly has a full team of Pokemon as well. We're able to take his Geodude down without any problems, and we even get really close to taking his Electrode down as well. However, he switches to his Scyther before we can close out the job. His Scyther knows Sword Stance, so we really don't want to allow him to set up at all. We send out Pikachu, and even though he takes some damage, he's able to take down Scyther with a singular Thunderbolt. Next up is Nidoqueen, and we're able to take her down with the help of Lapras, but not before she gets off an Earthquake. After finally taking his Electrode down, he sends out his last Pokemon, Machoke. We switch to Charizard, and using the combo of Heat Wave and Seismic Toss, we take down Machoke and earn ourselves the C Ruby badge. After securing our second gym badge, we head south towards the Grapefruit Islands when we get asked to help find who's stealing the grapefruits and put a stop to them. It turns out that a very hungry Snorlax has been going from island to island eating as many grapefruits as they can. After putting nearly our whole team to sleep and many failed capture attempts, we managed to catch the Snorlax, making that our second Pokemon caught in the Orange Islands. With that, we have the final team member that will be joining us in the rest of this playthrough. Minus a returning Pokemon, but we don't have to worry about that till the end. While it does suck we won't be getting any more Pokemon for the rest of the game, the two we got honestly make up for all the trials and tribulations we've had to go through due to one ambitious yet dumb 10-year-old. After witnessing what I can only describe as a cult for your typical cat owner, we arrive at Murcott Island where we see Tracy in the forest caring for an injured Scyther. He runs off with the Scyther, taking them to the local Pokemon Center. After meeting up with him, Nurse Joy calls us over and says the Scyther flew back towards the forest. We run back into the forest where we see Team Rocket attempting to capture a small swarm of Scyther by covering them in glue. Alright. All of a sudden, a totally random and wild Scyther appears and deals with Team Rocket, saving the rest of the Scythers. I just find it funny that we were just sitting there in the open watching this all unfold. Like we're not even in the tall grass, we're just standing out in the open. Like what? Anyways, TLDR, Tracy has a Scyther now, and we're battling him because, yeah. His team is basically the same as last time, just now with a Scyther. And, yeah, that's it. He didn't even get to use a single attack the whole battle. Yeah, I wish there was more I could say, but there really isn't. Hey, look, it's Gary. His team is, Also the same as last time. Just a bit higher level? Surprisingly, this was even easier than the last time we fought him. Man, we've kind of been on a hot streak lately. See, I knew I was onto something when I said this challenge would get too easy at some point. Now with Snorlax, we might as well be unstoppable at this point. Like, I don't think there's anyone in this game that could even compete with us. What's this? Have I battled Prima? Prima? What the fuck is that? Huh, must be some, like, local trainer or something. Probably hasn't even gotten all 4 of the Orange League badges yet. Hey, don't you only have, like, 2 of them? Shut up. Anyways, sure, why not? I'll go take on this, what was her name again? Prima? Who? I don't know. Whoever these people are talking about, I don't know. Let's go see. Gotta make sure they remember the name Ash Ketchum, you know what I mean? Wait, why is there boss music playing?
Hello, Ash. Remember me?
Oh, get me out. No. I ain't signed up for all that. Nuh-uh, nope.
I've been hearing a lot of noise about me lately. Something about just being some local trainer that hasn't even beaten the Orange League.
No, why? I didn't. No. I would never say something so ridiculous, so blasphemous. Like come on. What would someone like me get from saying such outlandish claims like that? You know what I mean? Like,
Huh. I must have just been mishearing things then. 'Cause I could have sworn that you also said something about wanting to battle me and making sure that I remember the name Ash Ketchum.
I'm good. I'm good on all that. Yeah, I don't really want to, battle you. No, I'm good.
Now, we don't have to be in such a rush. Why don't you just follow me then?
Hey, we can talk about this. Let's just talk about this real quick. We don't have to do anything, we don't have to do anything crazy. We don't have to, nothing crazy. Come on. Let's just talk real quick. Wait, what are you talking? Wait. We back? Okay, yeah, I don't wanna talk about it. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, let's just move on. Yeah. After dealing with Team Rocket, again, and being reminded how sad and pathetic my life is by 2 Nidorans, we run into a Magnemite rancher named Ethan. He tells us how his Magnemites will gather electricity when a thunderstorm is raging out in the Mandarin Desert to help provide energy for a local town. He asks us to help him look for one of his Magnemites who's gone missing, but we don't have time for all that. Like, what do we look like? Someone that has plenty of time to spare? No, we still have to beat 2 more Orange crew members. Come on now. Now that I think about it, I feel like there was something else we were sent here to do. Oh well, probably isn't that important if I can't remember. After dealing with Team Rocket, again, we return Ethan's Magnemite back to him and make our way to the local town that Ethan mentioned prior. Yeah, Ethan, I won't lie to you here. This could barely even be described as a small village, let alone a town. But, whatever. Our next stop leads us to Trovatopolis when we suddenly end up in the sewer system. While trying to find our way out, we find an abnormally large Bulbasaur deep in the sewer system. Apparently, the symbol on its tag is the same symbol the mayor uses. After exposing the mayor and ruining his chances of re-election, we make our way to Trovita Island to challenge our 3rd gym. Rudy's team, while lacking in numbers, are still some of the heaviest hitting Pokemon we've faced yet. See, the Pokemon Ash brought for this gym were Pikachu, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle. In comparison, Rudy's team is basically a complete upgrade from ours. He starts off with what I think is probably his weakest Pokemon, Electabuzz. Even then, his Electabuzz can outspeed all 3 of our Pokemon and can almost two-shot Bulbasaur. I managed to put his Electabuzz to sleep and even get off a Solar Beam before he wakes up. However, he switches to his Exeggutor before I could finish the job. Now, if there's one Pokemon on his team that I'd say we'd have to look out for the most, it would have to be his Exeggutor. Being a Grass Psychic type makes it really difficult for any of our Pokemon to do any sort of significant damage to it. On the other hand, Rudy's Exeggutor has a plethora of moves at its disposal that it can use to basically one-shot any one of our Pokemon. I decided it'd be best to put his Exeggutor to sleep with the help of Bulbasaur and then switch to Squirtle. While Squirtle's a water type, it still learns Bite via level up, which, while still being on the weaker side when it comes to damage at this point, the simple fact that we could get a possible flinch if the Exeggutor decides to wake up was more than worth the risk. Yeah, I know. This was honestly the best thing I could come up with in the moment. Yeah, that's all I got. We were actually able to get 2 bites off before it decided to wake up. And rather than attacking us, he decided it was a grand idea to use Light Screen, when we've only been using physical attacks to deal damage to him. As a result, we were actually able to get him to flinch the very next turn, but we still need to survive at least one more turn in order to even have a chance at sealing the deal. His Psychic nearly one-shots us, but we managed to hang on with just 6 HP to our name. And after a lucky crit, we're able to take down his Exeggutor with the help of Squirtle. He sends out his Electabuzz, and after using both a full heal and a Hyper Potion, he regained the advantage. He even manages to paralyze our Bulbasaur after landing a Thunder Punch. We use Sleep Powder once again out of desperation, and I guess the game's just on my side for once, cause we end up 3 for 3 for Sleep Powders landed. Now that his Light Screen finally wore off, we charge up one last Solar Beam, and he's not dead. Luckily though, he doesn't wake up, and we're able to use one last Razor Leaf to finish the job. His last Pokemon, Starmie, nearly takes us out, but we just barely survive. After a single Thunderbolt, his Starmie goes down, and with that we claim the Spike Shell badge. After earning our 3rd Orange League badge, we set off towards the next gym when we run across a trainer who apparently had heard of us from Rudy. He wants to battle us because he heard Rudy talking about how strong of a trainer we were. No, really, that's what he said. Anyways, we defeat his Poliwrath and set off to our next destination. We arrive at Ascorbia Island, home to Team Wartortle, a group of, you guessed it, Wartortles that act as the fire force for the island. We meet the captain of Team Wartortle, Aiden, who tells us that Team Wartortle was just captured and asks us for our help. He said he saw a strange balloon heading towards the forest with the Wartortles, so we make our way there to see if we can find them. Sure enough, we come across a rocket warehouse deep in the forest. It turns out Cassidy and Bush are back and have set Team Wartortle as their next targets. After dealing with Jesse, James, and Meowth, we have our final battle against Cassidy and Bush. While being decently strong early on, this fight was pretty one-sided in our favor with the help of Pikachu and Charizard. With that, we free Team Wartortle and put a stop to Team Rocket's plans once again, where I'm sure they'll never try to harm or capture Pokemon ever again. On our way to the next gym, we run into Golzar, top 3 names of all time by the way, who claims to be the best grass Pokemon trainer of the Orange Islands. Yeah, he only has one Pokemon, and it's a fucking Gloom. Quick side note, I've always had a soft spot for the Pokemon NPCs, and this area might have some of my favorite NPCs with the highest quality dialogue you will ever see. This guy's my favorite. Anyways, we're not here to relax or sightsee, we're here to earn badges. Wait, but aren't we on vacation? We arrive at Kumquat Island, home to the Kumquat Hotel. A hotel that also houses the 4th and final gym in this region, all ran by Luana. Her gym specializes in double battles, which are, at this point in the series, supposed to be pretty foreign to the viewer, as this is kind of the debut of this battle format if you don't count the illegal double battles that Team Rocket do. The best thing about this gym is that Luana has a team of only 2 Pokemon, which even though we don't get to use all of our team members, that still means we have 4 less Pokemon to deal with at the very least, so yeah, that's pretty good, right? Yeah, that's kind of all I got. Yeah, this gym was a complete and utter shit show. See, even though she only has 2 Pokemon, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're weak Pokemon. While Marowak lacks speed and is overall pretty fragile, it still can be a hard-hitting Pokemon with stab moves like Earthquake and Boomerang. And, well, we all know how strong Alakazam is already. Man, we sure have our work cut out for us already. And I'm sure we'll be fine. Maybe we could bring along a Pokemon that has a move that can hit both opponents maybe. Like Lapras, who has Surf, or even Bulbasaur, who knows Razor Leaf. Although it probably wouldn't be smart to bring a Grass Poison type to a battle against the strongest Psychic type in the region, besides Mewtwo of course. I don't know, just as long as we don't bring along a Pokemon like Pikachu to this fight. Someone who's really frail, especially at this point in the game, and who even gets outsped by Alakazam and can't even actually do damage to Marowak. He uses Pikachu in this fight, doesn't he?
With Charizard's flamethrower and Pikachu's electric attacks, we can't lose.
See, Pikachu might not necessarily be the absolute worst choice. However, you'll soon see why this choice single-handedly makes this battle the most grueling and most agonizing battle we've had yet in this playthrough. It's relatively known that Pikachu's strengths are its high speed, and with the help of the item Light Ball, its high special damage. However, similarly to Marowak, Pikachu's high damage output is counteracted by its abysmal defenses. Shit, even Zubat is probably bulkier than Pikachu. One of the problems that we run into is Alakazam is one of the few Pokemon who actually outspeeds Pikachu. On top of that, as most of you know, Alakazam is not only one of the strongest special sweepers in the whole game, but has a wide range of options when it comes to its move pool. Out of all the Pokemon we could face, Alakazam is by far one of the scariest Pokemon. Now, her second Pokemon Marowak also brings its own set of problems. I never mentioned the second Pokemon Ash decided to use in this gym. But as you probably saw from the gameplay that I might have shown, he uses Charizard, who, surprisingly enough, might actually be our saving grace in this battle, since he can survive a hit from Alakazam if lucky enough, and can't even take damage from Marowak. The problem is mainly from the fact that we can't deal with them fast enough before they have the chance to take Pikachu down. And before you go into the comments and type, why didn't you just teach Surf to Pikachu? I simply never found the HM for Surf. I know that one of the NPCs gives it to you, but I just never came across it. Plus, I really wasn't concerned about finding the HM for Surf. Remember, we got Lapras pretty early on into the game who already had Surf to begin with. So by the time I got to the 4th gym and realized teaching Surf to my Pikachu would probably solve a lot of my issues with this battle, I realized I never came across the NPC who gives the HM, and if I'm being honest, I didn't really feel like backtracking to find it. Look, we're basically at the final stretch of the game, and I just really want to finish this challenge up so I could get this video out and move on to the next project. Now, it is debatable if it might have gone faster if I just went looking for the HM, but I don't know, I'd rather just figure something out with what I have than to go back looking for something that sure would have made my life a bit easier, but also isn't entirely necessary in order to completing this challenge. And yes, I know, this is just a fancy way of saying I was too lazy to backtrack, but to be honest, I don't really give a fuck, so you're gonna just have to deal with it. Instead, I have Pikachu start with Double Team while Charizard does its best to take Marowak down before he can take out our Pikachu. It's both a blessing and a curse that her Alakazam starts with Calm Mind, because yeah, she skips a turn not attacking, but at the same time she has a better chance at one-shotting our Charizard now. Marowak misses his Boomerang, and we're able to take him down with another Flamethrower after Charizard survives a hit from Alakazam. I have Charizard use Fly, and we're basically hoping that Alakazam misses his Psychic on either Pikachu or Charizard. Yeah, if you couldn't tell already, this battle is the sole reason why this video took so long to finish. Eventually, we get an attempt where he misses Psychic, and we get him decently low with Pikachu, so I went for a quick attack thinking that would finish the job, but he barely survives. Luckily though, he misses another Psychic and Charizard is able to close it out. With that, we gained our 4th and final Orange League badge. All that's left is to make our way to Pokémon Island and defeat the champion, Drake. On our way to Pokémon Island, we run into a Pokemon watcher named Quincy who's dedicated his life to studying Magikarp. We take a small break to view the Magikarp's ritual of returning to their place of birth in order to evolve. Afterwards, we make our way to Salvio Island where we meet up with Tracy and Misty. Tracy had an unfortunate encounter with a Vileplume and is now bedridden with paralysis. Misty says a regular paralysis heal won't work, so we have to find some salvio weed. Well, okay then. After making a quick trip to the store, we're able to bring back some local herbs for Tracy, who makes a full recovery. With Tracy fully recovered, we're able to make our way to Pomelo Island, home to the final Orange League member / champion, Drake. But before we can challenge Drake, we have a few trainers that want to battle us first. First up is Misty. She basically has the same team as before, however prior to leaving Salvio Island, she caught a Poliwag that I absolutely have no affiliation with whatsoever. Anyways, like last time, this is no problem for the duo of Pikachu and Bulbasaur, and with that we can... Oh, wait, it's Gary. Yeah, I figured. Gary actually has the exact same team as before, and besides a few minor unlucky moments like missing 3 Thunders in a row, we managed to defeat our rival one final time, and after meeting the champion himself in the Palace of Victory, we make our way to the arena to challenge Drake and attempt to become a champion once again. And as expected, his team is no laughing matter. Sure, Pokemon like Ditto and Onix stick out for all the wrong reasons, he still has a pretty solid team nonetheless. He starts off with Ditto, and, well, yeah, he sure does start off with Ditto. The only thing to note was we actually got him to use a full restore before taking it down. Next he sends out Electabuzz, and after surviving a Thunder, we manage to take it down with the help of Tauros, who takes the place of Snorlax. Yep, another Pokemon that Ash has never once used in battle prior to this, yet he brings them into probably the toughest battle they'll ever have to deal with in their whole life. Next is his Dragonite, and we managed to switch to Lapras and one-shot him before he could utilize his Dragon Dance setup. Next is Onix, and after avoiding certain death twice, we managed to take him down with a single Surf. Next is his Venusaur, who tries to set up a Sunny Day to power up his Solar Beam, but we managed to deal with him before he could do so. His final Pokemon is Gengar. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I kinda cheesed this one. I used Tauros, who, as you know, is a normal type, and Gengar can't do any damage to him. The only annoying part about this though is that I kinda forgot to teach him a move that does some decent damage besides Earthquake, so I was kinda stuck with Pursuit as my only move that would actually do damage to his Gengar. As he was a late addition to the team, I was really only focused on grinding up levels so he could at least stand a chance against Drake's team. It was a pretty minor blunder on my part, but it only delays the inevitable, to be fair. The only thing his Gengar can use is Hypnosis and Confuse Ray, and basically hope that we either take ourselves out, or he uses enough PP where he can use Struggle. With enough patience, his Gengar goes down, and with that we defeat Drake and take our spot as the champions once again, earning ourselves the winner's trophy. Overall, I had a lot more fun playing this game compared to the previous one. I think the simple change in scenery was honestly enough to make me feel like I wasn't just playing through Gen 1 again. To me, it really did feel like I was playing a continuation of Gen 1 while it also not being a complete new generation. Kinda like a Gen 1.5 if that makes sense. For those that watched the previous video, I mentioned that I would be working on a different challenge that wasn't a Pokemon game necessarily. TLDR, I haven't scrapped the project yet, more so I was working on both projects at the same time since the release of the last video, and I just got around to finishing this one first. I want to finish up the other project before starting on the next Pokemon video though, so it might be a bit before the next Pokemon challenge will be uploaded. If you're just following this series though, the next time we'll meet will be in the heart of Johto, where we'll see if Ash can join the likes of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and win his 3rd championship in a row. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like this one, leave a like and make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you'll know when my next upload will be. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.